Hi YouTube, this is a vlog for James Joyce reading, and I'm currently up to the chapter 8 of the first part of Finnegans Wake, which is the Anna Livia chapter, and I've got some thoughts on about Finnegans Wake at this point. So this is the second time reading it, but I feel like this is the first time that I've really begun to understand like what the book is kind of about and what it's saying. You begin to get a flow of the language as you progress further in. You see how the sentences are built up, even though there's some portmanteau words that you don't understand. You can see how they syntactically line up with what's been said, and also you begin to see a few of the recurring characters, like Anna Livia, HCE, and Shem. So I just also was reading the Shem chapter, and I was beginning to see the like ink motif going on in there, where you can see the constituents that Shem's built out of, and how he's sort of like a parody of a persona of James Joyce, sort of like a weird Stephen Daedalus-esque character who's only expressed in writing, as he's kind of like a pen man, like he's literally the man with the pen that you never actually see. So that was interesting seeing all those things about that character, and I'm interested to see how we see Sean in was it part 3? But first up, we got to get through part 2, which I know is the most dense part of the whole book, but it should be fine. Part 2 is like where the language really steps up and goes into crazy overdrive, and you have so many overlapping languages and syntactical structures, whereas in part 1, like it starts off and you're like, oh, this is a little complicated, but then you kind of get into the flow of things, and even though you don't exactly know what all the portmanteau words say, like you can see the grammatical structure that is quite similar to standard English or modern English. So you can see where it's going with that, but from my memory, that part 2 is just like really crazily out there, so I'll be on to that soon. See how far I am. So a decent chunk. I'm about 200 pages in, and then also not including the introduction, which is another about 60 pages, 50 pages, maybe, another about 50 pages. So I'm about 250 pages in, including the introduction. I recommend reading the introduction. It's a pretty good way to get into the flow of like what Finnegans Wake is about, and you'll be more attuned into the themes and motifs. But it's not required, if you're reading Finnegans Wake for university or something like that, then you're better off just jumping straight in. But if you're like just reading it for fun, it's good to see all the things about it. So anyway, that's the end of my vlog. Cheers.